everyone to another episode of Cinema Smoketography. We're on episode 7 of season 2 of The Mandalorian, and it is another short episode, which means I probably won't have a lot to say about it. Just kidding. Yes, I do. Wow, what can I say about this episode? First of all, it was a little bit more slow-paced, so it was a very good episode for kind of character building for a lot of the different characters in there. We see a little bit of development between Cara Dune and Migs Mayfeld, right? We see a big turnaround with Mando, and we get a real good look of how Migs views the galaxy a little bit, and it's very interesting to kind of see all of that kind of cultivate together. And we get another callback to some other Star Wars related instances, and we'll get to it as we go along here. But let's get started with the first opening shot of Migs on the prison planet where he's a scrapper. So you see Migs like working on the you see him working on everything. Oh, I didn't shut that off. Oh gosh. Altogether. So you see him working on everything for just kind of taking apart a shipyard, really kind of like how Cal Kestis was in the first part of Jedi Fallen Order. So you see Cara Dune kind of pick him up and release him and be like, hey, what's going on? You need to tell me. And that's where she is walking him to Slave One, right? And then we see Finnick kind of walk down, Cara Dune's walking him there, and he sees Boba Fett, and Boba Fett redid his armor. So he repainted it in the classic green that EL uses, and now he actually looks to me, he looks a little bit better than he did before, because he has it's more prominent, right? The green, the army green is a lot more prominent on there. We have the yellow highlights and a little bit of red in there. So it's actually super awesome to see Boba in there, and Migs is like, oh god. He flips out a little bit. He's like, oh sorry, I thought you were somebody else. And then that's when he sees Mando walking by, and Mando walks straight to Migs, to Mayfeld, really. Should you call him Migs or you should all call him Mayfeld? Because they kind of just refer to him as Mayfeld. They never call him by his first name. So we now see that Mando is kind of talking to him. He's like, oh, you're here to kill me? Like, what's going on? He's like, I need your help. He's like, oh, why do you need my help? Because you're ex-Imperial. And Cara Dune's got a attitude towards him because he is an ex-Imperial from back in the day, right? And he's like, oh, I'm not Empire anymore. He's like, but you still know your clearance codes and everything else like that, so we can use your help. He's like, I don't know why I should help you. I should just, go back to jail. He's like, well, they got my kid. He's like, the little green guy? So he's reluctant to help, but he does go help him, and he's like, all right, I need to help you find you need to help me find Moff Gideon. He's like, hell no. He's already trying to back out of it. He's like, send me back to jail. I'm not gonna go near Moff Gideon. And he has to go to an Imperial terminal, right? And he has to access that information on an Imperial terminal, and no one really kind of knows where. But Meg says, like, there's a old secret mining facility of the Empire here, and I forgot the planet that it was called. I'm just it's fresh in my head, right? I've had to go back and watch it twice already. It's already 2 o'clock in the morning here, and I am geeking out. So this is pretty fresh in my mind here, and I'm actually just kind of pushing through the podcast today. I have already done a few more other projects, so I wouldn't say tired. I'm just kind of letting everything process as I'm doing everything. But what is super cool about this episode is that Mayfeld is helping out and trying to get to where we're going, right? So they get to the planet. It's a jungle planet, and we're trying to get to everything and try to figure out what's going on. And they have a plan that Boba's gonna pick, Mayfeld up after he goes in and accesses the terminal and gets the information they want. Cara Dune and Finnick are gonna be sharpshooters, because they can't go into this Imperial base because you have to be scanned by a face to access the terminal, right? Which was also when then Mando's like, all right, You got to take off your helmet because we can't get in. You can't be dressed up like Mandalorian like that. And he's like, we're gonna get in, and he sees a tank kind of rolling in, a transport rolling in, and it looks like one of the tanks that they used in the Battle of Kashyyyk in Episode 3. So it's very reminiscent of that. So they get into, they see a transport coming, and they jump onto the transport. Cara Dune, Mayfeld, and Mando. And they use the same cliche they always use in Star Wars movies. They take the stormtrooper helmets and the costumes and everything else like that and go into incognito mode right before everything goes haywire. So Mando takes off his armor and puts on the stormtrooper armor, which is crazy because Mando would never take off his armor or especially his helmet in front of anyone else. So it really kind of plays into Mando's love for the child is starting to, take precedence over having, everything else go on. Before I continue, we are smoking some mango cheesecake by Azor Dark out of the Union Hookah, also known as the Capuchin, using the 80v80 Hookah John bowl. Right now, like, the bowl is pretty harsh. I'm just trying to kind of get over. This is probably the second bowl I've smoked tonight, right? Because like I said, I've been working for a while, so it is a little tough to smoke after a while. After 1 or 2 bowls, you kind of get tired of it. But nonetheless, that's what we're smoking today. And Mayfield actually shows a little bit of insight of what his views of the galaxy are, which I think are pretty interesting, right? Because, and it was also kind of touched about in Solo too, is that these people who are being ruled by the Empire or being governed by the New Republic, for the most part, they're just kind of taking over, right? They're not helping. They're just invading on other people's land. Oh, that one made it worse a little bit. Much better. So they're basically invading, and he's trying to have a conversation with Mando, and Mayfeld is trying to say, me and you, we're survivors, right? We're two of the same people. We're all the same. He's like, I'm nothing like you. I was like, oh really? So let me get this straight. You'll take off your, like, why don't your people take off your helmets? You people, I mean Mandalorians. Is it only when you'll change the rules when it's convenient for you? Or do you follow these rules like religion? Because as we know, Din Djarin is a child of the Watch, and their beliefs are, if you were to take off your helmet in front of another living being, you can't put the helmet back on. Right? And it's kind of different views from other Mandalorian tribes, or clans, sorry, not tribes. Other Mandalorian clans where they do take off their helmets, like the Night Owls, like Bo-Katan's clan. They take their helmets off. So we see everything kind of going on and how Mayfeld sees the galaxy. And now they're transporting everything, and that's where stuff starts to go crazy, right? There were 3 transports, and 2 transports already got destroyed, and they don't know how. They're carrying rhydonium, which is a very highly explosive, compound. And everything is going on right there. So Mando is trying to figure out, and he's realized that pirates are trying to blow up the transports. So Mando goes into Mando mode and starts blasting them out, and he runs out of blaster bolts, which means Mando is now going to fight these pirates by himself, it was fucking amazing, I'll tell you that. So you see Mando get rid of one speeder filled with pirates, and then he gets rid of another, and then 3 more pop up, and he's just like, alright, I gotta get it. And he's wearing plastoid armor, so somebody hits him with a staff and it breaks. So we already know plastoid armor is what stormtroopers and clone troopers were using back in the Clone Wars and in the Imperial era, and what they're using now for the First Order. So, well, the soon-to-be First Order. So you see all these kinds of things kind of happen at one time, and Mando somehow gets everything, and as the last 3 transports come up, Mayfeld is reaching a bridge. It's like, we got to slow down, because if we go too fast, we're gonna blow up. So as he's about to slow down, Mando looks like he's about to lose everything he's working for to try to catch Moff Gideon and get to the child. Right? But we see TIE fighters, and we have never been more happy to see TIE fighters before in our lives, to see the TIE fighters airstrike in and take out the rest of the pirates and then stormtroopers kind of blast away at everyone else. What I will say about the armor they're using, let me just turn this over here. The stuff that they're using is very similar to the tropical troopers you see in Rogue One, and you actually see those troopers again in that armor blasting away at the rest of the pirates, along with other, regular stormtroopers. Now Mando and Mayfeld finally reach the mining facility, and we see that everyone's saluting them that they made it. They're the only transport to make it, so everyone's saluting them and everyone else like that. So they finally get inside, and you see this drab, cold mining facility, and everyone just kind of, praising Mando and Mayfeld for getting in there. So it's now for the next stage of the plan to get to the terminal and get the information we need. The next stage of the plan where Mayfeld has to go to the terminal, and Mayfeld actually walks in and sees an old officer he used to serve, right? And he can't do it. He's having major PTSD, and we'll get to why he has PTSD in a moment. But he's having second thoughts. He's like, I gotta go. Like, we can't do this. Let's bail. And Mando's like, no, we gotta get this information. Give me the data stick. And he says it's not gonna recognize you. And then Mando just walks up to it, and we see the officer kind of paying attention to the argument that Mayfeld and Mando are having, right? So he walks over there to access the terminal, but it's not working because he has the helmet on still. So Mando sucks it up, and this, like I said, this is some major character development for Mando, and maybe his beliefs are going to be a little bit different now because he is a child of the Watch, and he knows not to take off his helmet, but he takes off the helmet for his love of the child because he's become more precious to him than his beliefs, which makes me believe that Mando is going to start breaking away from the traditions that he was grown up with as a member of this clan to be someone different, be his own kind of Mandalorian, and have his own clan very soon. And I think his clan's going to include, Boba Fett. I think Boba Fett's going to he's supposed to be, we're going to get a Boba Fett miniseries, and we're going to see a lot more of that as well. So my belief is that Boba Fett's going to join Clan Mando, or whatever his clan's going to be, or Clan Djarin, Clan Djarin, and that sounds weird, right? But we're going to see a little bit more of that kind of development play out because Boba Fett's starting to grow more into a character, and we're seeing more of Boba Fett than we ever had before. Right? We've seen him in the Clone Wars, and you're seeing him climb to be the man that he is, to be the most feared man in the galaxy, like his father before him. Right? So Mayfeld sees Mando take off his helmet, and he's completely shocked. Right? Because we all know that Mando doesn't want to take off his helmet. So he takes it off, gets the information, and the officer's walking up to him. He's like, Trooper. And he's like, and he finally gets Mando's attention. Mando turns to him, he's like, what's your designation? I'm a transport. He's like, what? And he's like trying to explain to himself, and you see that Mando's kind of confused, like, what? Deer caught in the headlights. Right? And it's kind of funny to see him act like that. And next thing you know, Mayfeld comes up and says, oh, sorry, this is TK421, I'm TK420. I think that's what his number was, but he was just saying like, oh, we'll just go fill out a report. It's like, no, wait, let's have a drink. You're the only transport to make it today. And this is where we get more development. And how I felt like when I was watching this part was I felt for Mayfeld so much because I found out a lot about his character. Like his views on the galaxy are very pronoun, but this next part is what's really tragic and really makes me feel for him. Because it makes me understand what he's saying, that he's a survivor like Mando, right? Because we all know Mando was saved by Death Watch during the Clone Wars, right? So he's seen death firsthand. and they're all talking like, what should we cheer for? The regular stuff, the Empire, blah blah blah. And then Mayfeld says, let's toast to Operation Cinder. Now, for those who don't remember what Operation Cinder was, if you play the campaign for Battlefront 2, you know Operation Cinder was carried out by the Galactic Empire for using a collective set of satellites to burn, planets controlled by the Empire to kind of eradicate everything. And Mayfeld was there. And this only happened a few weeks after, the Battle of Endor. Now, Operation Cinder was a contingency plan created by Emperor Palpatine to kind of hide everything from the Empire. I actually have it pulled up here. It was a plan developed, a contingency plan by Emperor Palpatine to ensure the Empire and his enemies did not outlive him should he ever perish. So it was pretty much a plan in action to kind of make sure that the Empire would still live after Emperor Palpatine died, for the most part. So Mayfeld was part of that plan and survived. And tens of thousands of troops died, civilians died, and you feel like you can see the tension rising as the officer is saying they were all heroes of the Empire. Saying that, you know what, we're creating chaos all over the place because the New Republic doesn't know how to govern. And people want freedom, but they really want order. So they're going to come back to the Empire with open arms, right? And that's what he's implying. And that's when Mayfeld just blasts the officer right then and there. He's like, and blasts a couple other troopers right before the whole ending of everything. And it's just so crazy to see. And Mayfeld's telling them, "Put the helmet back on, bro. I didn't see your I didn't see your face. You can still have your beliefs." And Mando puts the helmet back on, and they start making a break for it, right, to get to the roof where their extraction point is. And as you can see, that they're blasting away stormtroopers left and right, and then now they're got out the window, and you see Cara Dune and Finnick just start sniping everybody. There's cannons on top, so Finnick takes care of the cannon fodder and everything like that, and they tell Boba, we're ready to go, make your run. So he starts to head out to go pick them up, right? And this is like the blast scene itself was just blaster fire everywhere. Mando and Mayfeld make it to Slave 1, and they start taking off, and the two TIE fighters chase them. And this is where we get Slave 1's signature kind of trick. He's like, all right, hang on, we got company. Drops a concussion bomb. The same concussion bomb we see Jango Fett use against Obi-Wan Kenobi on Geonosis. Right? The one that just kind of sits there. Right? And it was a very nice callback to see that. I really did enjoy watching that part of it. Right? And see a nice callback come by. And that's when Mayfeld gets back into his regular clothes and he's about to go back to jail. Cara Dune walks up with Mando. He's like, all right, take me back to jail. Let's go. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. And it was such a fun thing to see because he thought he was going to go back to jail, but Cara Dune really saw Mayfeld blow up the refinery too and shot the canisters of radionium and saw the whole complex explode. And that's when she kind of had a second, not a second thought, but had a change of heart when it came to him, because yes, he was ex-Imperial and she's an ex-shock trooper for the rebellion, so they already had tension between each other. She doesn't like him. She already broke a lot of rules to kind of get him free, right? So she's crossing the lines that she needs to cross to help Mando out to get the child back. And to me, to see that change of heart and saying that, you know what, you did good, and it's too bad that Mayfeld didn't make it back from his last mission. He actually blew up on the refinery. So Mayfeld actually gets to go free, and he's like confused, like, wait, I can leave? I'll go, right? Like, I'll leave. And Mando's like, hey, no, get out of here, right? And which made Mayfeld was such a fun character in this because he made a lot of fun quips, right, when he needed to, but this episode was very serious. It didn't make unnecessary jokes. Right? It was very serious, and the tension you felt throughout the episode, especially when Mayfeld was talking about Operation Cinder, really makes it more his redemption arc. Really, I feel, right. I thought it was more of a redemption for him than it was Mando, and we finally see Slave One take off, and now Cara Dune's asking what's the next part of the plan. And we just see a clip of Mayfeld just look back at Slave One, and he takes a breath, and he's now free, right? What he's gonna do, and I think we're gonna see him again in future seasons. But it was really nice to kind of see, like, yes, you're gonna get your freedom if you help us out, right? And I really did enjoy this episode. The last clip we get is Moff Gideon's on his cruiser, and two officers come and say, like, you need to see this, and it's a transmission from Din Djarin. And he gives him the same speech that Moff Gideon gave to him in the second to last episode of season 1. You don't know what you have. It's very important to me. And he's going to get him back, which leads to the finale next week. And I cannot wait to see what they're going to do, right? Because we now have Finnick, Cara Dune, Boba, and Mando out for the child. My hope is that we're going to get another Jedi to kind of like who answer the call to Grogu. So it may be Luke Skywalker, maybe it's Cal Kestis, maybe even Mace Windu, because we never seen a body, so that would be kind of interesting to see. Oh, sorry, kind of bug bite right here. So we're gonna see something come up very soon, and I cannot wait to see what we have. Right, for this next episode, it's gonna be crazy. I think it's gonna be probably an hour long to kind of get through everything, and I want to see what we're gonna do. My hope is to see that Moff Gideon's working with Grand Admiral Thrawn to build another Imperial fleet, because we now know Thrawn's still alive, right, after the events of Rebels. So we might even see Ezra Bridger and Ahsoka Tano come back. So this is gonna be, it's balls to the walls what's gonna happen next. It's gonna be crazy. My prediction is that Moff Gideon is going to fight Mando, and he's going to be using the Beskar staff to kind of combat the Darksaber. And that Mando's going to recover the Darksaber and maybe keep it for a while, or even reclaim Mandalore, or give it to Boba, and maybe Boba reclaims Mandalore, or maybe Bo-Katan comes back and takes it for herself to unite all the clans. All theories are open. I want to know your guys' thoughts, what your predictions are for the finale of The Mandalorian. Leave it in the comment section below. Here, I know this is kind of like a short episode for the podcast, and it is a short episode in general, but there was just a lot to compact, and I think we got the highlights. For me, the highlight was to see, Mayfeld make that choice to be ex-Imperial and have his views on the galaxy, especially being a survivor of Operation Cinder. Like, that's crazy to have all of his company and his friends that he knew for such a long time die because, for what, the Empire that doesn't even exist anymore? So I'm just shocked throughout this whole episode. I was geeking out on Boba Fett's armor and everything else like that, and the callbacks we got, but I think the heart of it was Mayfeld this episode. Me personally, that's how I felt. Like, he really took it home, brought the serious character, and had his thoughts brought to us like that was amazing, right? So, like I said, that's all I have for this episode today. If you like what you're producing here, be sure to like and subscribe if you're looking on YouTube. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Google Podcasts, be sure to give us a 5-star rating. And you can now be a member and actually support the channel. I'll leave a link to that in the description below, and for 99 cents a day you can actually help us here on the podcast, fund us a little bit so we can provide more podcasts for you. So to find me on Instagram and or Twitter, you're going to look at _hookahologists. You're going to be finding this beautiful face on Facebook on Tommy Rodriguez. Also on Facebook, be sure to like the podcast channel, not the podcast channel, but the Hookahologists channel itself, where we post new podcasts, videos, and discussions. Until next time, guys. Keep smoking.